Good morning. Week 5, officially in the books. We are now 1/3 of the way through the season, and it's still a crazy one. With little to no current events this week, let's just jump right into the matchups. Start off, of course, with yours truly. $5 footlong improves to 4-1 with a 170 to 151 win over Lucas Magookas. Chafing Pinatas takes its 3rd consecutive loss on the season, and it was over before it started. Coming into Thursday night, DJ Moore, 8 receptions, 230 yards, and 3, count them, 1, 2, 3 touchdowns. 53 fantasy points to start off my week, and Luke was already in a hole deeper than DJ's belly button. Coming into Sunday morning, Jalen Hurts with 32 fantasy points leads the way for my team. It seems the Eagles are unstoppable with the QB sneak. Jalen Hurts is something like 20 for 20 attempts on the season just this year. Stephon Diggs, 8 catches, 121 yards, and a touchdown, 26 fantasy points. And I kissed 200. Just could have. I left Zach Moss on the bench, of course, who gets 35 points. I fell into the hype with the Jonathan Taylor discussion, thinking he's going to come back in his first week and garner all of the workload in the backfield. Zach Moss still gets 2 touchdowns, has a great game, 35 fantasy points. Otherwise, I finally would have broken that 200 mark and taken over season high score. Alas, not this week. Luke grabs another bad beat this week, even though he gets 35 fantasy points this week with Jared Goff getting 4 total touchdowns. Travis Etienne even on that early morning London game, 156 yards and 2 touchdowns himself. Seems like the Brits should just buy the Jacksonville Jaguars at this point. That's the only time they ever do anything decent and actually beat the Bills in London. 170 to 151 the final on the score. Luke goes to 1-4. I go to 4-1. Still in first place, boys. Matchup number 2, Jolo versus Jason. Jolo gets a blowout win, 183 to 130 over Jason. Every single spot in his lineup finds the end zone and tags a touchdown, with the exception of DeAndre Hopkins, who still goes off for 22 points. Unfortunately, Jolo does end up losing Devin Achane to injured reserve, as he goes out with an ankle injury and is expected to miss 4 to 5 weeks. Unfortunate after the chain of games he was putting together. On the other side, rock out with my Brock out, Jason loses Anthony Richardson, who was also starting to put together a hell of a season, and he goes on IR as well. The huge topic of discussion, of course, though, is Jamar Chase. 54 fantasy points. He gets 15 catches for 192 yards and 3 touchdowns. Count them. 1, 2, 3 touchdowns. Alvin Kamara, another double-digit score, and another week of negative defense for the Cowboys. Jason falls to 2-3. Jolo improves to 3-2 with a 183 to 130 victory. Matchup number 3, Chaco Dave versus Team Burris. Zach picks up the dub here, 164 to 90. Huge showings from Josh Allen on that early Sunday morning game out in London. He has Gabe Davis, who finds the end zone again. Dallas Goedert with an insane game. And Adam Thielen, the veteran, stringing together incredible performances, has 11 catches for 107 yards and a touchdown, and gets 27 fantasy points. Negative defense alert once again. Zach gets -5 points from the Washington Comandantes defense. DJ was all but chasing that season low score going into Monday night's game. He only had 70 total fantasy points. And his highlight, highest scoring player, actually came Monday night with the Raiders against the Packers, and Jacoby Myers gets 20 points. Yes, speaking of the Packers and Raiders, I was at that game. It was a mess, to say the least. Having to watch the Packers completely shut down against Las Vegas was an absolute travesty. Driving on the way out there Sunday morning, I found out that Aaron Jones wasn't going to play. Of course, they didn't feed Devontae Adams the ball at all. Josh Jacobs, mediocre. No touchdowns for Christian Watson. No touchdowns for Romeo Doubs. It was just a sad performance. And as you have it, A.J. Dillon is the Josh Kelly of the Packers. You think they're going to fill in and take the workload as the main featured back when their starters are on IR? Doesn't happen. Really poor performance. We lose 17 to 13 on Monday night, but Vegas is Vegas. Allegiant is dope. It was still a good time. Speaking of somebody else being out at a game this last weekend, back by popular demand, I bring you Phil Collins.
Murder Valley's finest, checking in with you from Howard Field in Denver, home of the Denver Broncos. We're going to get that W today against the Jets.
No, just joking, Mum. Just joking.
Here we go again, out in Denver. We got Broncos country. Let's ride. You're going to have Russell Wilson. We'll see what happens.
The perfect body with a perfect face.
Well, it's the end of the game. And as always, Russell Wilson just can't come through again here in Denver. Disappointing. You don't even have a chance. No fumbles, turnovers, no offense. You're not going to win. I don't know.
It appears DJ was not the good luck charm that Denver Broncos needed as they fall to the Jets 31-21. Mile high shit. Both Zach and DJ even out at 3-2 on the season as DJ picks up his second loss, 164-90. Is what it is, I guess. Thanks for coming, DJ.
That's what she said.
Matchup number 4, Tyler versus Ashton. Ashton gets his first win of the season in Murder Valley's finest, 132-119, the dub over Orange Crush. His highest performing player this week, if you can believe it at all, is the Washington Compadres quarterback, Sam Howell. 388 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, only 1 pick. Continues to see huge usage from Sam Laporta in Detroit, who gets 3 catches for 47 yards and finds the end zone twice. 19 fantasy points there. And the Saints defense comes up huge. 22 points for Ashton's team. Tyler gets what he's been dreaming for all season, and that's a huge game from his favorite quarterback, Joe Burrow. 31 points in the QB spot. Joe throws for 317 and 3 touchdowns, 1 pick, but that's natural. Double-digit outings from his flex, defense, and kicker, but the shittiest part of Tyler's week, of course, is losing the number 1 overall pick. Justin Jefferson leaves the game. Significant enough injury, he's sent on IR and will be out an estimated 4 to 6 weeks. Worst timing ever. Of all the injuries this season, that would probably be the most notable. I know there was a scare in Kansas City this week with Travis Kelce rolling his ankle and leaving for a minute, but coming back and, of course, dominating and still finding the end zone. Tyler already behind the 8 ball in the season and unfortunately is going to have to dig himself out of this hole. I rushed to the waiver wire and was able to pick up KJ Osborne. Between him and Jordan Addison, it'll really be interesting to see who Kirk Cousins favors. You know it's a high-scoring offense. You know the ball is going to be thrown a lot. Want to keep an eye on. Also, that means I'm overstocked on wide receivers. Trades available. Tyler goes to 2-3, gives Ashton his first win, 1-4 on the season, but he takes this one 132-119. Last matchup, number 5, Travis versus Ray. Travis picks up another dub here, 131-112 over Rayman Music. Does so on the back of who else but Tyreek Hill. 8 catches, 181 yards, and a touchdown gets him 34 fantasy points. And Breece Hall finally breaks off a 72-yard rushing touchdown, finishes 171 yards on the ground and a touchdown, 29 total fantasy points in Travis's flex position. Raymond gets 26 fantasy points from Patrick Mahomes, pretty typical, and 20 points from Puka Nacua, who despite Cooper Kupp returning to the starting lineup, still finds a way to be productive, and Matt Stafford favors the air ball. Look for him to be catching Puka and Cooper Kupp in the end zone just as much as each other. I think this Rams team is going to be an arsenal moving forward, especially with Kieran Williams in the backfield, who started to build up the ground game. Could be pretty threatening come postseason. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough for Raymond as both teams improved to 3-2 on the season, with Travis winning 131-112. Your Week 5 high-scoring team is none other than the Tenderfoot's Jolo, finishing with 183 points. And your Week 5 low score this week is none other than the man who brought you the soundtrack to Tarzan.
Why do I have this growing need to be beside her?
Choco Dave himself at 90 points. Still time to improve your records. Like I mentioned, we're only about a third of the way through the season this year, and top 6 teams make the playoffs, with the top 2 seeds getting a week 1 bye. And the playoff matchups will only be 1 week each. Of course, it's the same way it was last year, same setup as it was the year before. So keep pushing, don't give up, make some trades, ride that waiver wire. Season high score and season low score both stay the same. Thanks again, DJ, for sending me videos and jumping on to be this week's guest star, even without me having to ask. Much appreciated, my friend. Cheers to Zach going to the game tomorrow in Kansas City. I hope you guys mop the floor with Denver. Sorry, DJ. Sorry, Tylees. But that's all I got for you guys this week. Good luck in week number 6. I'll see you next week. Commish out.